Hey football fans, welcome back to Sport Lab, your home for sharp, straight-to-the-point match breakdowns. And tonight, we've got late drama at the Etihad. Matheus Nunes becomes the hero in the 94th minute as Manchester City snatch a 2-1 win over Aston Villa. Let's break down what went down in Manchester.
So, I think the last minute games winning belongs Liverpool, especially how many times with Jurgen in the last minute scores, Arsenal as well with Mikel. We are not used to. So I'm really happy, for the goal that we scored at the end, because we are in the last 4 or 5 games and with a Champions League contender, qualification, like is Aston Villa, like is, Aston Villa is a team like in the last month proved is one of the top of the best teams in Europe, and we play really good in all departments. In our aggressive, in our duels, the back four was unbelievable in all departments. So yeah, I'm really pleased for the game we played.
You just kept going, and in that 94th minute when you scored that winner, and you talk about you haven't had that feeling for a long time. Yeah. What was that feeling like to have it back again?
Come on, so football is emotion. The feeling for the fans, for the players, for ourselves, so how important. We have a lot of pressure, for the club go to the Champions League next season, and the last 2 games, Everton away and here Aston Villa were so difficult, and the players behave unbelievable. So we are really pleased in that terms.
I think you celebrated for more than half a minute. I've never seen you jump so high.
I was so happy, yeah. I have to admit it. So that moment I said, okay, try to don't lose the game, because 1-1 is not a bad result, but it's not bad. But the action from Jeremy, I know how he can create something for his pace, and after the assist was brilliant, and we arrived players in the box, a lot of players. So football, if you are in this business to live the disappointment, but always the good moments.
But also, when you talk about that word, and emotion, you use that word emotion, you go through every emotion, but at the end, to have the emotion that you have, it's what keeps you going.
Yeah, it had to do. So the team fought a lot. So the performance was really good in all departments. It's a team like they can play, they can run, and how they associate each other. So it's a fantastic team. So and we were able to do it.
I know you don't look back and think it hasn't been the season you want it to. But all the players now have accepted that, and it's clear they've accepted that, and they are going and they are driving forward to what can be achieved. When you look at it, do you think this could be a real special season, bearing in mind you've got the FA Cup as well?
The season has been bad. So it's not always going to happen the last month and a half. So the season has not been good. It doesn't matter where it's the final, with the incredible tough against Nottingham Forest, or qualification for the Champions League. So the reality is that. So what make you feel the season is good is the Premier League, not the Champions League, not the FA Cups. It's the consistency in the Champions League and in the Premier League, and we have not been. But it happened, and sometimes you have bad seasons for many reasons that everybody knows. But you try to, until the end, to try to avoid the damage. And of course you can qualify for the Champions League, because look the team. So Liverpool was already champion, will be champion, and Arsenal, what can I say? But look the other ones. Chelsea, Aston Villa, Newcastle, ourselves, and Nottingham Forest now come up. So the level of that teams is outstanding. So that's why always made this step to go there is really important. Okay?
Very quickly, but you have the semi-final this weekend, an opportunity to go to the FA Cup final. You have this great opportunity now to play in Champions League football next season, which is what you wanted it to be. But you've just spoken about the feeling and having it back, and how important is it to have that feeling back for this stage of the season with the remaining games to go?
No, since the Bournemouth game in FA Cup, the team changed. We can play good. In Old Trafford, for example, we don't play good. In the game against Everton, Wilson Park, we didn't play good. But we fought, we were there, we tried to win duels, and that is the principle. And this season we didn't have that. We didn't have the energy for many reasons, for situations that I know perfectly. We didn't have that. But okay, never is late, and good lesson for the next season.
Keep smiling, Pep. Enjoy the weekend.
I will.
He was just about smiling. He certainly wasn't smiling as much as he was at this point, which is when that goal went in. Manchester City's latest winner at home in the Premier League since November 2022. It came on 93 minutes and 21 seconds. Incidentally, for comparison, Sergio Aguero's winning goal that won Manchester City the title, 93 minutes and 20 seconds. That's how late this goal was. But he said we don't get that feeling very often at Manchester City. Only 2 teams have scored more goals than Manchester City this season in added time. So he's used to that feeling, but maybe not that kind of tension in terms of what he's trying to achieve and that sense of relief.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the standards they've set over the last 3 or 4 years, and they've just come off it. I think he's been really harsh on his team there with his comments in. It's not been, well, obviously not been consistent. They had a tough start, obviously a huge setback with Rodri, and they've not been at their very best. But that was always going to happen. But I still think if they can win the FA Cup and get in that Champions League, then it's not bad going. But it's just because they've set the standards so high over the last few years that any sort of drop-off kind of does look back. But if you step back, and I'm sure Pep will with his staff, come this summer, look at the bigger picture and go, you know, considering all the setbacks and disappointments we had, even missing Haaland tonight, this group of players have dug in. For all their qualities, you've got to dig into the professional footballer, and they've done that again tonight. I'm not saying they were brilliant to watch or creating loads of chances, but they found that bit of will and that spirit and somebody off the bench to create something. It shows a good mentality from their subs. I thought probably Villa's subs lacked that when they came on. I don't think they gave them any sort of impetus. So that's why I would give all the credit to City tonight.
Yeah, it's been unusual for Villa not to get any kind of momentum from their subs. That's something that's worked for them so far this season. As for Manchester City, can both things be true for City, Shay? The fact that it has been overall a disappointing season, but from where City have been at times this season, that to qualify for the Champions League and win the FA Cup can make it to bring a degree of success.
Yeah, it's kind of like the perfect storm, as Roy mentions the injuries and you know, they're 4 times Premier League champions in a row. At some point they're going to drop off. They're going to be a bit of a dip. The team will need rebuilding. Of course, Pep will have to do that over the summer as well. But they're third in the Premier League. It's not like a crisis. They're sitting halfway down the table. They're in an FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. You know, again, the likes of De Bruyne will leave in the summer, and I'm sure he'll want to leave with his hands on one, the final trophy. But it's not been a disaster. I mean, Pep has not always looked at his happiest this season. I mean, that celebration was the most I've seen him celebrate probably ever, you know. But again, it shows how much he still loves the game. He's emotionally involved with the football club, and I'm sure he does want to be part of the rebuild and bring the good times back. Not that it's that barren at the minute, but you understand what I mean. Bring the Premier League title back to this football club. But yeah, there's been a lot of key players missing, and he mentions Rodri. You know, it's such a long time ago now, but he's the Ballon d'Or winner. Like he's a top player, missing all season. But you know, it's Liverpool's time this year, and City, I'm sure, will bounce back next season.
Matheus, we were just saying before we started recording this interview, that goal for you came just at the right time.
Yes, it came. It was very important. I mean, this was a very tough game, a very tough opponent, and we came with the mentality that we needed to win this game, and that's what happened.
First Premier League goal as well. You saved it until the 94th minute.
I mean, that's what I said. It's a perfect timing. I could come in a better time.
Just what does this do for the remaining games that you have left in what you're trying to achieve? You talk about them being cup finals, such a grandstand finish to what was such a tense match.
Well, obviously they're on the run with us to this top 5, and because of it, it was a special game to get the 3 points. But obviously, still 4 games to go, correct? And all of them will be massively important. So we keep on going, but obviously. Really important today to get the 3 points here.
But you're putting that distance, aren't you, against a direct competitor for what you want to achieve, which is Champions League football next season.
Yeah, of course, and we know how tight it is and how tight it's going to be until the end. So today was I don't know how important it was. I can't quantify it, and it's a massive step for us.
It's one of those, when you say quantify, it's one of those, isn't Matheus, that you quantify, you come at the end of the season and look back and see just how huge this win could be.
I mean, we're going to see in the end of the season how big this win is going to be. But I think every 3 points now until the end of the season is going to be very important. I mean, we're going to go for every game trying to get the 3 points.
And when I spoke to you yesterday, Ruben, we had quite a conversation. Kind of went deep on some levels, but you talked about emotional availability. We won't go there again. But you talked about, you know, in the bad times, the behaviour and the reaction to some players and how you kind of aligned together again, accepted the position that you're in and you're ready to go for this finish.
I mean, this means everything to us. We know exactly in which circumstances we are, and these top 4, top 5 means everything to us. So this is our Premier League this season. This is our main trophy. Of course, we still have the FA Cup. We're still going to have the Club World Cup, but this right now, it means everything to us.
And you do have the FA Cup, and it's coming up on the horizon this weekend.
Yeah, and we're going to try to win as well. Of course, we want to lift the trophy. It's a very important game for us to try to win the semi-final and then go for the final. So yeah, hopefully we'll do.
Last question. You enjoyed the noise. You enjoyed the celebrations inside the Etihad. It was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, it's one of them. I think I wouldn't rather to win it any other way.
Brilliant stuff. Well done tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great way to win a game with a late winner in that game, and particularly for Matheus Nunes with his first Premier League goal for the club, to come at such a crucial moment in such a crucial race, because as they outlined there, this season their trophy is finishing inside the top 5.
It is, and of course we've got the FA Cup to come as well. Big semi-final at the weekend. You know, obviously we're talking about De Bruyne before the show. They'll give him a send-off, probably get their hands on the FA Cup and finish in Champions League football. But yeah, it's a massive goal for Nunes, you say, rightly so, in the last minute. That's your right back popping up in the box as well, but like O'Reilly at Everton at the weekend. Both full-backs popping in with very important goals for the football club. And again, when they talk about the race for the top 5, it's a huge 3 points.
Aston Villa, only Southampton have conceded more goals in added time than Villa. In terms of the way that they played, in terms of their defending, was it injury time style defending?
Oh, listen, they'll be kicking themselves. It's a big moment for City, but for Villa, the 2 goals they gave away, brilliant play by Doku, and I tell you what, it's not an easy finish. You talk about this team over the years, finding a way to win football matches. Absolute show on for Villa. What a brilliant delivery. Yeah, Villa will be disappointed with their defending, decision making here, players lunging in. Then obviously you don't mind when a player sometimes makes a mistake in terms of decision making coming off the bench, but then you're just hoping somebody will come across and help him, and they just don't quite do enough. If you look Konza here, he doesn't make himself bigger. Absolutely brilliant delivery, sleeping on the back post, but not an easy finish, but a huge goal from Man City. Absolute huge.
A huge goal that takes them into 3rd place in the table, and yes, they've played a game more than the teams around them. So too have Aston Villa, and they're in 7th place as things stand, level on points with Chelsea and 2 points behind Newcastle, who are now in that 5th spot. It's starting to open up a little bit of a gap between 3rd and 7th, and particularly with that 1 game extra played for Villa. How big an impact will that defeat have on them, do you think?
Well, time will tell. Of course, they've got the FA Cup themselves at the weekend they play, and can they bounce back? Me and Roy were looking off there. The fixtures, they've got relatively fixtures that we think that they could probably get maybe maximum points from. Bournemouth away maybe is one of the trickier ones, but in general, I still think they're very much in the race. There's no doubt about that. I think we mentioned the squad that Aston Villa have, the players off the bench tonight as well. They've got a very, very strong squad, and the likes of Newcastle and Nottingham Forest have still got quite a bit of work to do to make the top 5. I think Newcastle are home to Ipswich next, so they'll look at that as a big chance of getting 3 points.
Problem though for Villa, and obviously they're running out of games, and the goal difference is a big problem for them. That's why I think it's such a setback tonight. The type of goals they gave away. You look at the manager and talk about them being well organised, but you saw that stat, as you said, giving up late goals. You know, that'll be costly at the end of the season for them, I think, for the Champions League.
I mean, you say that they're running out of games, and they've had the game against their Champions League rival, which can almost feel like a bonus victory, can't it? And there's lots of teams in that race for Champions League football who are meeting each other between now and the end of the season. That game between Nottingham Forest and Chelsea on the last day of the season might prove to be crucial, or it might be done and dusted by there. Chelsea have got Newcastle as well. There's big games.
Yeah, there'll be 1 or 2 twists, but from Villa's point of view tonight, when you get yourself in a position where you've got a draw and you think you're not capable of going to win the game, don't lose it. Don't lose it. Keep that momentum into the season. It keeps City a bit near you. The draw, momentum, the feel-good factor. Players know a big and a bad result. You've seen the reaction of Man City tonight, and you've seen the reaction of the Villa and the Villa manager, the players. They know what a big moment that was, last kick of the game.
It feels every match day this swings hugely in terms of the percentages, and it feels as though even just in terms of the feel, it swings massively. Obviously, City now with a 95.1 of finishing inside the top 5. Villa down at 17.3%. Does that look about right to you? I mean, it could all change. What that can't bring into the equation is the human factor and how other games going on and where the players are in their heads.
A normal computer?
I would say super. When you're dealing
computer.
with 5 teams and 5 games remaining, I'm going to say a super.
Well, I do think for the teams around in the challenge, I think City will definitely qualify for the Champions League. I'll say that, but my neck on the line now, especially after such a late goal. So I think that's a good thing for a few of the teams. Aston Villa probably got the most ground to make up, but then I look at the fixtures at Aston Villa and I fancy them. They won a lot of them fixtures. You know, Newcastle's second last game's Arsenal away. That's a tough fixture. You hope they might still be in Champions League and be distracted by that perhaps. So there's all ifs and buts, and maybe even Ipswich at home you think, oh, it's an easy game, but you just never know when a team's more or less relegated. The pressure's off. There's all sorts of permutations, but it's a great race, isn't it? It's a great race. That's
what makes it a great race, the fact that it is so difficult to predict and that it's changing all the time. We'll reflect on that again very shortly, but let's get some more Aston Villa reaction now. Yuri Tielemans is with Juliet Farrington.
In a matter of seconds, it just changes, doesn't it? You could see the reaction amongst the Villa supporters, amongst the bench in front of me, in front of Unai Emery. That's pretty crushing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's so frustrating to lose last minute of the game, where we fought really hard. We blocked pretty much everything other than their goal, their first one. And then, to lose like that on that last action was so frustrating.
It's those moments, isn't it? It could have gone off to such a perfect start with Marcus, 17 seconds into the game. Obviously, he gets you back level with the penalty. But it's those moments that change, and then right at the very end. Yeah,
well, we get the first chance, they get the last one, they score, we don't. That's football, you know. Like I said, it's just really frustrating.
But you're still in it. It's still so intense. There's still so much to fight for, isn't there? And there's still these places that are up for grabs, which is what you want to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got 4 games in the Premier League left, so we're just going to give our all, hopefully get a good result in and be back where we want to be, and hopefully be in the Champions League positions. But we just like I said, disappointed for tonight, and we just have to analyse and see where we can be better.
Analyse and then pick yourself up, you know, to go into the FA Cup, and that's something else you're trying to win this season as well. Yeah,
definitely. Saturday we've got the semi-final, which we hopefully can win, and then we'll see from there. But we're now full focus on that. But yeah, we're gonna be having a tough night, and then focus on that.
Recover well, go well this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the players will say, we need to recover from this, we need to focus again on the remaining fixtures, the FA Cup semi-final, the 4 remaining Premier League fixtures. But how hard is that to do?
Well, it might be helped that now they can go into the FA Cup and just step back from the league. And we mentioned before the game about your big players turning up. That was a big mistake from their experienced goalkeeper as well. You don't need that at this stage of the season. You're thinking maybe 1 or 2 of the young players might come up short. But when you look at your spine of your team, your rock-solid players who've been there and done it,
for the opening goal,
for the first goal, you don't need them big mistakes. But Villa are a decent group, and this is where they'll step. They'll recover from it. But this is the opening goal, and we talk about poor defending again from Villa. Players just not quite doing their jobs. Come down to his weaker foot. Silva, Shea's mentioned the goalkeeper. Good movement from Man City. Would do what they normally do: dominate possession. Didn't probably have a real cutting edge, but they created them 1 or 2 moments, 1v1s. In a tight game, you have to be able to go past somebody. We saw that for both goals. Keeper's got to save it. A keeper of his experience has to save it.
Even with the slight deflection?
Yeah, there's a bit of luck involved as well. It comes off Conce's ankle, and I think that takes Onana out of the game here. Look, it could go anywhere. But yeah, there's no getting away from it. Emi Martinez will look at that and go, you know, that's a save that I would expect to make. We do think it's an OG because he parries it onto his left foot and then he more or less kicks it into the goal. I think he should parry it out this way towards the camera for a throw-in or something. It's poor goalkeeping there, but again, first goals are so important in a tight game like this.
It is Bernardo Silva's goal.
Okay. I keep trying to give it to Martinez.
You do keep trying to give it to him, but it is Bernardo Silva's goal. Look, there's a penalty here, and there will be a sense of vindication from Manchester City's point of view that they get the winner in this game because they were not happy with the award of this penalty. What did you think?
Well, we've watched it a few times. I know they'll argue that he got a touch in it, but he still takes him out. To me, I keep looking at it, and to me, I feel it's a penalty. Pep, of course, now they'll move on because they've won the game. There would have been a bit more controversy if they ended up a draw. But the players are looking at the screen here.
That picture, sorry, is really funny because Tielemans, it's been shown on the big screen, and Tielemans points up and goes, "There's a foul." And Diaz is the opposite reaction. He goes, "Not a foul." So I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, not given on the pitch, but VAR sent Craig Pawson to go and have a look at it. And then Marcus Rashford With a big moment in his Villa career, a former Manchester United player, or on loan Manchester United player, coming up against Manchester City, but Pep Guardiola is still furious and got himself booked for his protests. In terms of Marcus Rashford's chances, this one, the first of them, came after just 17 seconds. How involved was he in this game?
Yeah, he was a threat tonight. He was a threat tonight. This has been unlucky, but I thought you might see it. He had a really big chance in the second half. But he's a threat. When there's grass behind Marcus, he's as good as any player. When he's running in behind, there's moments here we think a better touch, decision-making. I still think areas he can improve on. But when he's making runs of that and he's getting that service, you ask to the defenders, Marcus is a nightmare to play against. And he's got that hunger and desire to run into it. Now, I look at this chance. I'm certainly not no striker. But when I see him making that run again, fantastic, almost impossible to stop. I'm thinking, could he shoot there? Could he just hit it first time? I'm sure more strikers probably say, yeah, he goes around him, but it's a tougher angle. But look at his movement here, a little layoff. And it's almost impossible to stop. Once he's got grass in front of him, he's impossible to play against. And this, is he a little bit unlucky? I think he should maybe hit it first time. And again, another huge moment in the game. Yeah,
and there was a lot of pressure on him coming into this game because there was all the noise around Ollie Watkins and the fact that he was on the bench. Marcus Rashford preferred to him in the starting 11. And whether or not that was justified, the conversations, they were going on anyway. And then he comes up against Manchester City and has to take a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, he played well. Them chances that Roy's just shown, he played really well. I mean, a bit of luck in the first minute. It hits the post and goes in. And I think Roy's on the right in that, right? So Stefan Ortega's come out. He's a wee bit in no man's land. If he comes on to it, hits the first time, he's got a great chance of scoring. When he takes that big touch, he narrows down his angle in, you know, so it's a more difficult chance. But, you know, games swing on goals, don't they? And if Villa get their noses in front, then it could be a different outcome.
And the better side played good football, continued to control the game with the ball. I thought the left side for them was really good. Nico O'Reilly, lots of good crosses from the left side. Doku continued that, of course, with the winning cross there. So they played better. It felt like a big game for them, an important game they needed to win, and they've done it.
And welcome back inside, Paul. Two Robbies. What a finish there, especially for Man City, winning 2-1. And I back up to about 3 hours ago, Robbie. I asked you guys, considering it's been a disappointing season, of course, for City, but so much on the line for Champions League. What does this really mean for Pep and City? And I think their emotion that we just saw showed that to us.
Pep celebrating that, like he celebrated the Champions League winner against Inter Milan. This team, I felt today, right at that last moment, they almost dug back into the muscle memory of champions, and they found a way late on. And Man City have done this all through Pep's time in charge. And Doku comes on and does a bit of brilliance. It was interesting in the press conference today. He talked about not giving Doku enough time and feeling sorry that he hasn't got him on the pitch enough. Today he gets on the pitch, he produces a bit of magic, and they get the goal. And there's no better feeling for Pep. You know, when you see him at the end of the game and he's questioning players and he's talking about coaching, he's got his arm on. That's Pep's magic moments. That's when things have gone well and his team have come out, and they've done that today.
In 9 seasons as the manager at Man City, he's never not made the Champions League, and what a giant step this was, moving all the way up to third with only 4 matches left, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to go week to week here. This isn't it for him and for the end of the team's there, and it isn't it for Villa. I think it's a little harder for Villa now when you look at the league table, but it's such a small gap that either of these can still do it. Villa can still do it. Man City can still lose it. But that was just a good sign of when it's really, really, really needed. There's that. I've kind of missed that Man City this season. We've seen so many seasons of Man City getting pushed, and they win every game at the end of the season. Like, wow, how do they keep doing it? That's not been the case this year until that one. That was that type of game where they've had to pull out the stops and find a way to get that goal.
It's funny, isn't it? They're just hitting their best run of form when they really need it. They've got 4 games now, and he's talked about these next 4 games of 4 finals, despite the FA Cup semi-final. If they win those 4 games, they'll be in the Champions League, and that's what he'll be telling his players in the dressing room.
Yeah, they've now won 4 of the last 5, and Aston Villa, of course, they had won 5 consecutive. And you look at their goal scoring, I think they've scored 10 in their last 3 all-comps. So defensively for Pep, holding them to 1 goal today, pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, it's hard to be disappointed with Aston Villa, given what they've done. But we just didn't see Aston Villa's best today, particularly with the ball. And it wasn't easy because Man City were pretty quick to win the ball back. But you still expected a little bit more quality to enable possession, to enable them to get forward, to give Man City more problems. I mean, there's no question the home side asked more questions, were more of a threat. I just expected more from Villa.
It wasn't a Rodgers day, it wasn't a Tielemans day. And in the end, I thought at the end, Villa accepted a point. They were pretty much, we'll take a point and we'll move on. Manchester City had other thoughts and got the 3 points.
In the end...
Minute. I mean, it was a second half, really, that produced very little in terms of goal-mouth action. Did City deserve the 3 points in the end?
They had some chances. McAtee had a couple, didn't he? I thought he, when he gets in around the box, he's very creative. He looks like always scoring. But I thought the way they set up, with all the central midfield players, it looked like it was a control thing. But they didn't really have anybody at the top of the pitch to score. Only really when Doku came on, in that injection of pace. But that probably also came from a mistake from Disasi. Do you know what? He just gambles. That late in the game, if you've got managers like Unai Emery or Pep or Sir Alex, you cannot make that mistake because he won't forgive you for it. This could cost you the Champions League.
Yeah.
And if you're Disasi, just let Doku stay in front of you. Look, he knows where the ball's going. Look, he just tries to toe poke it away that you just can't, Manish. You just can't. And Doku's so quick. I tell you what, though, Tim, the ball in between Torres and Martinez is amazing. But just there, you just can't. Just stay in front of him, and there's no trouble.
He's got a lot to do from this angle, but what a pass, world class. And he comes into the back post and finishes it brilliantly from a very tight angle. But Owen's absolutely right. This actually just can't fish there. He makes them errors time and time again. I can't believe Unai Emery has put him onto the pitch so late on. You know what it felt like to me? After the hour mark, it felt like Villa were making more effort from the bench to try and win the game. And Pep was quite happy with his lot. It looked like, I've looked at the fixtures coming up for us. We will do enough, but we just cannot get beat here by Aston Villa. That's the way it looked to me. And that's an extra bonus. That's why you're seeing that reaction from the big man.
Unai Emery very rarely gets it wrong, right? From the sidelines.
I don't think he's made... I can count on... What's he been there, 2 years now? I can count on one hand the amount of mistakes he's actually made, and it's easy sitting here and pinpointing them. But as soon as this actually come on, I just felt it was not the correct decision. I thought Matty Cash was doing nothing wrong. I felt like a cope because they were playing very narrow. All of a sudden, I'm thinking, well, Pep's got to react now. Yeah. He's got to bring on Doku. Doku changed the game from Everton. We saw that at the weekend, and he can perform. He can be that shining light from the bench, and he done it again today. But Disasi just makes that. He just fishes for the ball there, and he just runs past him as if he's not there. But we say still got a lot to do.
Yeah,
outstanding pass to the back post and a good finish from Nunes.
Strongest 11.
I think he does I think horses for courses with him. I think he looks at the opposition and decides which players to play. But I think he's got so many good players, and there's a lot of them are quite even quality, different types of players with different qualities. So I think he's so astute, and I think he uses the analysis guys so much that he looks at the opposition. I just think tonight, with that big decision, I think he took his eye off it. He took his eye off their bench because it was like playing chess. As soon as he goes Disasi, Pep goes Doku, checkmate, game over.
Does Unai Emery also have an issue to address with Ollie Watkins, who was fuming to have only played 20 minutes against PSG, but was overlooked to start today in what was a huge game, particularly after such a great game against Newcastle?
Thing is, they need everybody. They need Marcus Rashford. They've proven that. They need Ollie Watkins firing. They've got 4 games left. They just got to get over the line. Because if they don't get over the line, then they're not playing Champions League. Everybody's future looks different. So they got to get on board. Obviously, Ollie has every right to be upset. But the best thing you can do is play like he did against Newcastle. Finish the job, score goals, get him to the top 4. If you're not happy, go play somewhere else. I think at 29. But that squad should be in the Champions League.
Yeah. You'd expect Unai perhaps marking Ollie as a starter for the Cup semi-final at the weekend. Is that why?
It's really difficult to second-guess how Unai Emery thinks about it. I would have felt he would have been certain to start tonight. Ollie Watkins, after what he'd done against Newcastle. Newcastle were flying. And he plays at home and he scores a goal and he hits a couple off the crossbar, causes them all sorts of problems, created chances for his teammates. And all of a sudden he turns up at the Etihad tonight and he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So you can't really second-guess the man. But he will look at the opposition, he'll make a decision based on that. But, and like I say, and I said it from the start, you have to trust this man. Doesn't make too many mistakes.
Would you have dropped Ollie for what he said?
No, forget that. I don't think he's worried about what he said. No. I think he's genuinely just picked a team there on the basis of that is the best team to win this football match.
And does tonight remind us that there are still plenty of twists and turns left in this race to finish in the top 5.
Well, we thought it'd be a title race at the top. We thought it'd be a relegation race.
Yeah.
It's a Champions League race.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most
consequences
fascinating one.
of missing out are just... I mean, it was the second half, really, that produced very little in terms of goal-mouth action. Did City deserve the 3 points in the end?
They had some chances. McAtee had a couple, didn't he? I thought when he gets in around the box, he's very creative. He looks like always scoring. But I thought the way they set up, with all the central midfield players, it looked like it was a control thing. But they didn't really have anybody at the top of the pitch to score. Only really when Doku came on in that injection of pace. But that probably also came from a mistake from Disasi. Do you know what? He just gambles. That late in the game, if you've got managers like Unai Emery or Pep or Sir Alex, you cannot make that mistake because he won't forgive you for it. This could cost you the Champions League.
Yeah.
And if you're Disasi, just let Doku stay in front of you. Look, he knows where the ball's going. He just tries to toe poke it away that you just can't, Manish. You just can't. And Doku's so quick. I tell you what, though, Tim, the ball in between Torres and Martinez is amazing. But just there, you just can't. Just stay in front of him, and there's no trouble.
He's got a lot to do from this angle, but what a pass, world class. And he comes in at the back post and finishes it brilliantly from a very tight angle. But Owen's absolutely right. Disasi just can't fish there. He makes them errors time and time again. I can't believe Unai Emery has put him onto the pitch so late on. You know what it felt like to me? After the hour mark, it felt like Villa were making more effort from the bench to try and win the game. And Pep was quite happy with his lot. It looked like, I've looked at the fixtures coming up for us. We will do enough, but we just cannot get beat here by Aston Villa. That's the way it looked to me, and that's an extra bonus. That's why you're seeing that reaction from the big man.
Unai Emery very rarely gets it wrong, right? From the sidelines.
I don't think he's made... I can count on... What's he been there, 2 years now? I can count on one hand the amount of mistakes he's actually made, and it's easy sitting here and pinpointing them. But as soon as that Disasi come on, I just felt it was not the correct decision. I thought Matty Cash was doing nothing wrong. I felt like a cope because they were playing very narrow. All of a sudden, I'm thinking, well, Pep's got to react now. Yeah. He's got to bring on Doku. Doku changed the game from Everton. We saw that at the weekend, and he can perform. He can be that shining light from the bench. And he done it again today, but Disasi just makes that, he just fishes for the ball there and he just runs past him as if he's not there. But we say, still got a lot to do.
Yeah.
Outstanding pass to the back post and a good finish from Nunes.
See, ironically, how you highlighted the fact that he had so many 10s playing in midfield at Manchester City without any specialist wingers, and he's got so many to call upon. But it is Doku in the end who makes a massive difference.
Yeah, but he's done that for a reason, because I think he wants a little bit of control in these latter games. He said, we're not going to have the width, everybody's going to come inside. So I can kind of understand it, but actually, pace kills. You watch every game. You get a kid as quick as Doku, just see you later. Obviously, Disasi's got to make the mistake, but that ball, outside of the right, past Konza, past Torres, couldn't Martinez maybe gamble and come off his line? Because if you know Doku's going to set up with the outside right, he's not shooting, so you can see it and maybe can you come off your line? But that's what football does to everyone. You get the highs and the lows. But what a finish to the game.
Right, let's get some post-match reaction from the Manchester City dressing room. Here's goalkeeper Stefan Ortega.
Stefan, how important is that win?
Massive, because the situation on the table right now, or before the game, was really tight. It's still really tight. So it was really important to get the 3 points to go on 4 points now, I think, ahead of Aston Villa. And even the game in general, I think we fully deserved the win today. Even the last-minute winner, with the atmosphere today, with the way we played today, with the energy we had, I think we fully deserved the win.
How good was it for Matheus Nunes to get his moment as well? Because he's played the majority of the season at right back. It's not his natural position, but he always gives it his all, and that was a brilliant moment for him.
Yeah, of course. He's an unbelievable player, like everyone in the squad here. And especially this season, a few players playing on positions where they're not used to it, but it seems to be like they really enjoy it. Like Nico Riley, for example, left back, he played today again, so good. It's a tough opponent. They have so brilliant patterns, and they defended well. A lot of quality up front, so it wasn't easy. But I was happy for Matheus that he scored the goal at the end.
What was your view of the penalty incident as well that was given for Aston Villa? Your manager was very upset. He was booked for complaining about the decision. What was your view?
The same, to be fair, because they told us before, if it's a 50-50 situation, the VAR shouldn't intervene. And it was like a 50-50 penalty for me. There was a touch, but it was not on purpose to foul the player there. Even Ruben tried to get out of his way, and then like sometimes it happens because it's so quick. The players are so quick. And it wasn't not a wrong decision. It was just like the VAR for me shouldn't intervene in this situation.
To finish the game overall that way, how much of a boost does that give you heading to Wembley at the weekend?
I hope a lot. This season is really tough, but especially now in the last weeks after Bournemouth in the FA Cup, we started to get the energy back and we play good. Everyone is playing good. We get almost every player back. Now you can see a bit like what we can do.
The old City are back.
No, not the old City, but the target is to finish the season best as possible. It's try to go to the next final in FA Cup and qualify for Champions League.
Thanks, Stefan. Well done.
A couple of good points made by Stefan Ortega about his teammates and match winner in the end, Matheus Nunes, who, let's not forget, by the way, his first Premier League goal for the club. I mean, that could be one of the most priceless, right, this campaign?
Yeah, and to be fair, he's a central midfield player.
Yeah.
But his greatest attribute, I would say, is his athleticism. And that's why he's playing in the fullback position, because he can get up and down. He's a good crosser of the ball. And the only reason he scores this goal is because of his athleticism. From that right-back position, he has anticipation to see that Doku's going to come in and cross it. And you got to remember, from right back to get all the way across there to score that takes a lot of effort and a lot of reading of the game as well. So credit Nunes. I mean, he did fantastic.
He did it at the weekend, didn't he? He got down for the assist for O'Reilly. I mean, two fullbacks just link up together. So they do push him on. He's absolutely right. I mean, his greatest attribute is his physicality. He can get up and down. He's a big size, you know. And I don't think he's a fantastic Man City player in the midfield area. I don't think he is. I think that if he's going to play on a regular basis, like we've seen this year, it would have to be just on that one lane there on the outside, on the as a right back.
Yeah,
I think that suits him.
It's a heartbreaking way for Aston Villa, of course, to lose the game at the Etihad and ends their 5-match winning run in the Premier League. So, what does their head coach make of it all? Here's Unai Emery.
Unai, losing so late in a game has to be a real sickener. How do you react to that?
Good evening. We tried. We compete very well, and when they scored the first goal so quick, we reacted fantastic, and we draw, and then they were dominating, but we had as well our chances to score, and we compete as well defensively very well, and we wanted to win, and we were as well trying to use fresh players to try to add their energy, but of course they did the same, some change as well, helping them, and at the end, when we were more or less feeling comfortable, even defensively, but feeling comfortable, and we could sometimes even to get their box. They scored the goal in the extra time and accept it, and I keep going.
It's the second time in a week, last Tuesday against Paris Saint-Germain, where your team have played really, really well and ended ultimately disappointed. What will that do for your team's confidence?
Keep going. We can't waste time now thinking in it. Analyze, try to be very, very focused in the analysis about everything we did, better or worse, and keep going. And we are now in semi-final on Saturday, and the league, we are going to play Premier League after 10 days against Fulham at home, and keep going.
I know Ollie Watkins spoke publicly about telling you he was fuming to be on the bench. What was his reaction when you named your team today?
It was our conversation. He told it, but like a good conversation between us. But it was last week, and now keep going and keep playing and keep training.
The big games keep on coming for you. You've got a massive one this weekend at Wembley Stadium. How much are you looking forward to that one personally?
100%. Looking forward to play with our supporters there in London, the semi-final, and enjoy it.
Best of luck. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's not forget, that's now 15 straight league defeats for Aston Villa at the Etihad Stadium, just when it looked like, heading into injury time, that they'd almost put paid to that wretched losing run. But it wasn't to be, Tim. What did you make of what Unai said there?
First of all, I congratulate him for the way he just looks so calm there, doesn't he? I mean, I know he's devastated. I'm telling you, it feels like he's been punched in the stomach constantly. You know, when you concede that late, I mean, someone's just ripped your heart out. I mean, you feel like devastated. and it means so much. You know, it's a huge game of football, and he says good evening. I mean, he's so polite, and he's very calm and collected with his answers. It's just experience that gives you that. He's just a magnificent man and a wonderful manager at that football club.
Is that the hardest part of being a manager? That happened to do an interview after that game?
Absolutely. To lose that late on, I mean, the worst case scenario would be they take a draw away from the Etihad and then they go from there. We see on them games, they've got tough games left. You see, you'd have to say they're outsiders now, you know, with the FA Cup coming at the weekend as well. A little distraction in their way. They would have to be outsiders to qualify for the top 5 now. But he takes it so well, and like he says, that's all you can do. You dust yourself down. But in the cold light of day, you would give the answers like he gives there. But it's a credit to the man that he comes out, you know, straight after, we just 5 or 6 minutes after the final whistle. Devastating last few minutes of the game. He's got so much composure and so much class.
Do you think the exertions against PSG and Newcastle possibly contributed to it tonight or not?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we can blame that. I don't think it was just a poor error of judgment from the substitute right back who comes onto the pitch. Other than that, it's a stalemate, and they probably would have took that. But I thought they made every effort to try and go and win that football match today, Aston Villa, even more so than Man City did. And still had some. They bring on Doku, but I think that was triggered by the fact that Unai had brought on Disasi on the right back area, and Pep straight away smelt the blood. He knew he could exploit that.
Do you agree with that, Owen? Was Unai Emery trying to be more proactive in trying to claim the points instead of Pep?
Well, at 75 minutes, yeah, but he brought Disasi on at 60, I think. And Tim made a really good point before about Cash. Cash was comfortable. Matty Cash was comfortable right back, so you didn't really need to change. If anything, it gives you more attacking. So at 60, he brought on Disasi, and then at 74, I think he brought on Watkins and Asensio. And at that point, I think he thought, OK, I can win the game here. But you still worry about that matchup, maybe, Disasi, Doku. If he comes on, I think if Jack comes on, because he's not as quick, I don't think it's as big an issue. But if Doku comes on there where he plays, that could be a bit of an issue. So I'm not sure why he made that change.
Yeah.
You know, with Disasi, but obviously you make calls and you think it's going to work. But I think at 74 minutes, once he brought in Asensio and Watkins, he thought, I might be able to win this.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the run-in then for all of the sides in contention for this top 5 finish this season, of course. So we've got 3 who are looking to make and stake a claim come the end of the season. Now, you look at Manchester City, they're actually facing 2 sides, well, one side in Southampton, who are already relegated. Wolves are on a decent run of form. Bournemouth and Fulham, I mean, they're in pole position, Manchester City.
City are making it, let's just
them
say
done.
that, yeah.
So what about the others? Forest and Chelsea, in fact, before the weekend, you thought were slipping off the pace. They both picked up valuable wins just to further stake their claim.
The one, I think, obviously, Forest have great fixtures in a good position. The only fixture I'd look at it right at the bottom, that Chelsea one at home. That's the one.
Chelsea Forest.
Yeah, Chelsea Forest. That's a decider, obviously. And then you look across at 5th in Newcastle. Ipswich will win that. And then Brighton away, Chelsea, Arsenal. 3 really hard games. So there's going to be a massive swing in here, too.
Yeah. You just got to get lucky. I mean, let's look at 7th place at the moment, 57 points, Aston Villa. You know, we just saw a devastating result this evening. Home to Fulham, you'd expect them to win that. Bournemouth could be anything, you know, could be pushing for Europa League. And then you've got Tottenham and Man United. Now, these teams, they could both be in the Europa League final. You know, so Unai Emery would be hoping they are. You know, because if they are, then they've got their eyes on a bigger prize than just winning that football match. So they might shuffle their pack and gives them an advantage then to the Aston Villa squad.
The one thing you would say is, Manish, City have the easiest run. Chelsea have the hardest. You know, the Everton game is their first one, but then Liverpool, Newcastle, United, Forest away. That, you know, they're the hardest fixtures, I think, for Chelsea. That's why I don't see Chelsea making it just based on the fixtures.
Do we need to chuck in the FA Cup semi-finals coming up?
Yeah.
As an
because
added distraction, perhaps?
Well, there's a few of them who could be in the FA Cup final, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, so obviously they have other priorities rather than the Premier League. I mean, if City managed to reach the FA Cup final, that last game against Fulham might not be as important because they might already be there, you know, already qualified. So, I don't know. I just think it's really difficult. I agree with Owen. I think Chelsea might struggle and Nottingham Forest, I'm going to say. I know it was a huge result last night, but I just think Nottingham Forest might struggle and Newcastle might pick up some results in Aston Villa.
Owen, did you Did you just say to me you think tonight's 3 points makes all the difference and that City virtually done or not yet?
No. I meant looking at those fixtures.
Fine, OK.
So you can only you go off who you're going to play. If they had the fixtures at Chelsea, I'd say no, because they're not as stable as they once were. But if you look at who they're going to play, City, off the back of that 3 points, I'd say that 4 games, they'll finish that off.
But Villa are on the outside looking in. They still have a chance, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they've all got a chance, all them teams. But it would have been, it's so much better for them if another team like City have got an extra 2 points there tonight, or 3 points, and got away from them. So it's devastating there tonight. It was a cup final. Pep said it before, and he's absolutely right. It was a 6-pointer there, and they've lost it. If they was to take a point out of that game, away from home, it'd give them the boost, give them the confidence. But I think the FA Cup could play a big part in it, because not only you've got semi-finals, also the final at the end. They can't all be out of it. So I still think Villa are there, and I say that on the basis that they have got a top-class manager and they've got a wonderful squad of players, and they can shuffle the pack around and try and get maximum points. But it's going to be very difficult for any team who qualifies, and it shouldn't be easy, should it? It's qualifying for the Champions League, so we don't expect it to be easy. No one said it would be.
No. How hard will it be for the Villa players to pick themselves up after losing in the way that they did today?
Yeah, Tim's right. That's the worst thing, as a player, especially at the end. I thought it was a pretty even game. And they probably, Marcus had a good chance. He went round the keeper and he just scuffed it wide. So if it went their way, they probably could have won the game as well. But I think to finish this season, it'd be really cool to see not Watkins or Rashford. Maybe just play them both. Do you mean? But they have... Tim made a good point. They have such a big squad and they have so many players. If anything, they're almost over-rotating. Settle on the guys that you think are going to get you into the Champions League, because if they're not in the Champions League, their squad looks completely different next
season. Do you think
season.
he knows his best team?
I think in one-off final he wouldn't care, but I think right now he's trying to accommodate everyone. You've got to remember, if some of those boys he'll want to stay for next season that are on loan. Yeah. So if he doesn't play them, they're not going to stay. So the ones that have longer-term contract, they're probably easier to leave out, I think.
Yeah. And if he's made his mind out about some of them, he won't play them anyway. So if he doesn't want Incensio next year, so if he doesn't want Marcus Rashford, he'll probably put Ollie Watkins back in. But then I think he will be showing his hand on who he values to stay at the football club for next season.
But financially, they won't be able to keep him, will they, if they don't get in?
They don't get a Champions League. He can't afford to pay 40 million for Marcus Rashford, plus his wages, which are astronomical.
Incensio will be the same money, won't he?
Yeah.
I know he's 29, but he'll be 30 million. So if they get into the Champions League, he can probably make those two permanent.
Well, let me turn that question to you then. Do you think he knows his strongest 11?
I think he does I think horses for courses with him. I think he looks at the opposition and decides which players to play. But I think he's got so many good players, and there's a lot of them are quite even quality, different types of players with different qualities. So I think he's so astute, and I think he uses the analysis guys so much that he looks at the opposition. I just think tonight, with that big decision, I think he took his eye off it. He took his eye off their bench, because it was like playing chess. As soon as he goes Disasi, Pep goes Doku, checkmate, game over.
Does Unai Emery also have an issue to address with Ollie Watkins, who was fuming to have only played 20 minutes against PSG, but was overlooked to start today in what was a huge game, particularly after such a great game against Newcastle?
The thing is, they need everybody. They need Marcus Rashford. They've proven that. They need Ollie Watkins firing. They've got 4 games left. They just got to get over the line. Because if they don't get over the line, then they're not playing Champions League. Everybody's future looks different. So they got to get on board. Obviously, Ollie has every right to be upset. But the best thing he can do is play like he did against Newcastle. Finish the job, score goals, get him to the top 4. If you're not happy, go play somewhere else. I think at 29. But that squad should be in the Champions League.
Yeah. You'd expect Unai perhaps marking Ollie as a starter for the Cup semi-final at the weekend. Is that why?
It's really difficult to second-guess how Unai Emery thinks about it. I would have felt he would have been certain to start tonight. Ollie Watkins, after what he'd done against Newcastle. Newcastle were flying. And he plays at home and he scores a goal and he hits a couple off the crossbar, causes them all sorts of problems, created chances for his teammates. And all of a sudden he turns up at the Etihad tonight and he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So you can't really second-guess the man. But he will look at the opposition, he'll make a decision based on that. But, and like I say, I said it from the start, you have to trust this man. Doesn't make too many mistakes.
Would you have dropped Ollie for what he said?
No, forget that. I don't think he's worried about what he said. I think he's genuinely just picked a team there on the basis of that is the best team to win this football match.
And does tonight remind us that there are still plenty of twists and turns left in this race to finish in the top 5?
Well, we thought it'd be a title race at the top. We thought it'd be a relegation race. Yeah. It's a Champions League race.
Yeah.
You know, that's the
because
most
the
fascinating
consequences
one.
of missing out are just huge.
No, you can't take your eyes off it. It's going to be right to the end, right to the last day of the season. It's going to be fascinating.
What drama at the Etihad Stadium. That's it from us. My thanks to Owen and to Tim. City pick up a priceless 3.
Manchester City needed something special, and they got it. Deep into stoppage time, Jeremy Doku danced down the flank and delivered a low cross that found Matheus Nunes at the back post. The Portuguese midfielder calmly side-footed home the winner, giving Pep Guardiola's men a crucial 3 points. City started strong, with Bernardo Silva pressing Emiliano Martinez into a costly error just 7 minutes in. The ball squirmed in for 1-0, and the hosts looked comfortable, until disaster struck at the other end. Ruben Dias brought down Jacob Ramsey in the box, and Marcus Rashford, yes, Rashford, converted coolly from the spot to level things up. From there, City turned up the intensity. Omar Marmoush thought he'd won it after a slick move, but he was flagged offside. And just when it looked like Villa had done enough to leave with a point, boom. Matheus Nunes wrote his name into the match report with a cold-blooded finish. This win lifts City into 3rd in the Premier League, leapfrogging Nottingham Forest, and gives them a valuable cushion over Newcastle in 5th. For Aston Villa, the loss stings. They stay in 7th, now 2 points adrift of the top 5 and potentially losing ground in the race for Europe. Is Pep's side starting to build some momentum at the perfect time? Can Villa bounce back with tough fixtures on the horizon? And how about Nunes, quiet all game, then the difference maker in the dying seconds? Let us know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe to SportLab for more Premier League insights, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the action. We'll catch you in the next one. Until then, keep your eyes on the game.